Freshman member of Congress, first time on this show, Representative Jeff Hurd joining us, Republican of Colorado. He serves the 3rd District, serves on the Transportation and Infrastructure and Natural Resources Committee. Thanks for your time and giving us your time this morning.
Happy to join you, Pedro.
Tell us a little bit about your district, the people you represent.
Sure. Well, it's the most beautiful congressional district in the country, in my unbiased opinion. It's Colorado's 3rd District. It's basically western and southern Colorado. It has a huge geographic footprint. It's beautiful. It's actually larger than the state of Pennsylvania. So it's where I grew up, where I'm raising my family, and I'm proud to represent it in Congress.
What drove you to run for Congress?
Well, I felt like rural Colorado was being left behind. We say our greatest export are our kids. They grow up and they leave and they don't come back. And my fundamental why for running for Congress is to create economic opportunities so that families in rural America can grow and thrive and stay.
What would you say then when it comes not only to your district, but the larger matter of economics? What are your concerns as we, in the current day, of where the economy's at?
Sure. The economic climate is something that's really important. I think that's why people elected me. Making sure that we grow our energy economy, keep prices low at the gas pump, grocery store, and in our electric utility bills, create opportunities so that businesses, particularly small businesses, can grow and thrive. That's priorities for me in this Congress.
President Trump ran on those issues of improving the economy. Where do you think he's at 100+ days in?
Well, I'll tell you what, we've taken more than 100 votes in the House, and we're moving in the right direction. I see a lot of progress when it comes to energy dominance, growing our energy economy, lowering those prices. And there's always going to be some bumps along the way, but fundamentally, directionally, I think we're in the right direction, and we need to work hard to keep pressing forward and advancing that agenda.
Is tariff policy something that impacts those you represent?
Yes, it's something I've heard from the people that I represent, and I've actually introduced legislation in the House that would restore Congress's authority under Article 1, Section 8 to have a say when it comes to tariffs. I support the president's goals of onshoring critical manufacturing, growing American jobs, making sure that we can sell American products in other economies overseas. But we need to make sure that we do it the right way, the way that the Constitution contemplates, and that's Article 1, Section 8. So I've got some legislation that would give Congress review authority with respect to tariffs, and I think that's the right thing, both constitutionally and also it's what I promised the people of my district.
When you say that you want Congress to take more of a role, are you suggesting that Congress isn't stepping up to the plate and asserting itself when it comes to tariff policy?
I think Congress should have a say in what happens with respect to tariffs. The legislation that we've introduced would give Congress a 60-day window within which it could review tariffs that were imposed by the executive branch and see whether or not they make sense and whether or not they're the right thing for our country, again, just as the Constitution would contemplate.
We saw on the Senate side a similar type of vote to restore authority on that front. It didn't pass. Do you think Republicans widespread have an appetite to circumvent the president on policy?
We'll see. One thing, I haven't been in Congress very long, Pedro, but I've learned that politics can change quickly. And so what looks like the situation today may be different tomorrow. So I think we'll have to see how things progress down the road.
Aside from legislation, one of the things that you've signed on to a letter talking about the larger aspects of concerns for Medicaid. Can you explain that to our audience?
Sure. So Medicaid is an important issue for my district. About a third of the citizens in Colorado's 3rd Congressional District rely on Medicaid. We need to make sure that we preserve and protect this critical support system for those who are most needy, most vulnerable. And so I and a number of my Republican colleagues signed a letter that we sent to House leadership and leadership of the Energy and Commerce Committee, letting them know that it's important to preserve and protect this critical safety net for the most vulnerable Americans, pregnant women, children, single moms, the disabled, and so on.
You highlighted in that letter your concern specifically for rural and undeserved areas. Can you expand on that?
Sure. Rural and underserved. Look, in rural Colorado, hospitals are few and far between. It's difficult to get access to critical care. Folks here on the East Coast, everything's crunched up and close together. It's not that way in the West, in my district, in rural Colorado. Traveling to a hospital, it's oftentimes dozens of miles, if not 100 miles, to deliver a baby. So making sure that we protect those who need it the most in rural Colorado, and we support those critical access hospitals, those federally qualified health centers, and Medicaid is an important part of that.
It's been reported, I think Punchbowl reported it, that members are set to meet with the head of the Energy and Commerce Committee about specifically possible cuts to Medicaid. Are you in on that meeting?
I am not in on that meeting, at least that I know of. One other thing I've learned as a freshman, sometimes I don't know what my schedule is until the last minute, so I may be in that meeting. I don't believe I'm in that meeting, but the message that leadership has and that the chairman of that committee has is we want to preserve and strengthen Medicaid for those who need it most, and it's important that we do that as part of this reconciliation
One of the
process.
big discussions concerning Medicaid and those types of services is finding cuts in order to establish other things to pay for in the matters of the economy, the president's efforts and legislative efforts. What do you think of that goal of using those cuts to pay for other things?
Well, I think that we can realize efficiencies within the system right now. We are not spending our healthcare dollars wisely. We can do a better job of allocating those resources in the right way, protecting the people that rely on that safety net, while at the same time realizing the goals of efficiency and saving money. So I think we can thread the needle. I think it's possible, and I know that the Energy and Commerce Committee is working hard on doing just that.
Freshman Republican Jeff Hurd joining us for this conversation, and if you want to ask him questions, you could do so on the phone lines, 202-748-8000 for Democrats, 202-748-8001 for Republicans, and Independents, 202-748-8002 for Independents. You can also text us questions or comments at 202-748-8003. You said thread the needle. Where's the place to start in making those efficiencies, do you think?
Well, I think one of the important things to look at is making sure that those who need the services the most have the ability to do so, and that those who don't necessarily need Medicaid, who are not interested in working, I mean, those are the folks that we need to make sure that, or not eligible, we need to make sure that those folks are not utilizing the resources that are most worthy of being used for those that need it the most. There's already, I think the CBO calculated about $50 billion with the B dollars in Medicaid spending that should be directed in other places that's not being spent properly. I think there are efficiencies that we can gain. I think we can make sure that the people that are on the system are the ones that really, truly need it. And we can make sure that hospitals like the ones I represent in Colorado have the critical resources that they need, and make sure that those resources aren't being diverted away from those who need it most.
One of the things that usually ends up on a list on determining the eligibility, so to speak, is work requirements. Where are you on that?
I think work requirements is something we should seriously look at. I know I've heard some concerns from folks that it doesn't work, but I think fundamentally individuals who are able to work should be working or trying to work. One of the things that I would say, though, that I've heard that makes Medicaid a little bit tricky, and this is maybe something we can talk about going down the road, is what's called the benefits cliff, where you get a job and you're working, and then all of a sudden your benefits immediately decrease, and then you have to pay for private insurance. Sometimes that creates perverse incentives in the system. So we need to fix our healthcare system in a way, including with Medicaid, to make sure that that benefits cliff isn't something that disincentivizes people from trying to find good paying jobs, and that will allow them to get off of this support system as I think it is contemplated.
What's a fix that could work, do you think?
Maybe a more graduated scale, maybe aligning other benefits like TANF and SNAP, and the eligibility requirements for these different programs vary. It can make things really confusing. And the result is people oftentimes just want to give up, and they say it's not worth getting a job because I'm going to lose these benefits. Let's find a way that we can maybe gradually decrease, incentivize people to get good paying jobs, better paying jobs, to work hard without having to face the prospect of completely losing their health insurance immediately.
We have